I'm going to take you through 12 variations of the split squat. I'm Craig Beedham, aka Gorilla Fitness, and if you find this video helpful, please remember to like and subscribe. So let's get into it. Let's get started with a band assisted split squat. So this is going to be sub body weight, and we're going to make it easier with a band. So we need to have an anchor point that's pretty high up so we can loop this band round, and obviously the stronger the band is, the more assistance we are going to get. So the more difficult you find this exercise, the stronger the band we need. If you find this exercise not too bad, then try to go for a slightly lighter band. So we're going to think about being on train tracks rather than a tightrope. So think about hip width apart and a big stride forward with the band just in front of us. So think about being on train tracks, not a tightrope. So we've got a good stable balance. Most of my weight is going to go on this front leg. And I'm going to lower down, holding onto the band. So the lower I get, the more assistance I get. My back knee is just behind my heel. And then from here, I'm going to push up with the most of my weight being on this front leg. So one more time, lowering down with control. If I get to the bottom and I'm struggling, if I actively pull down, then I'm going to get even more assistance as I come back up. So I'm going to show you from the side now. So, and again, a big stride forward, about hip width apart again. So thinking train tracks, not tightrope. I'm going to keep most of my weight on this front leg, holding onto the band, that back knee just behind my heel. If I stay upright, then the focus is going to stay more on the front of my thigh. If I hinge forward more, then I'm going to bring more of my glutes in on this front leg, on this working leg. So neither is right or wrong. It will just change the focus. So it depends on where you want to focus and where feels good for you. So that's our first one. Number one, the banded split squat or band assisted split squat. So let's get that out of the way. Number two, we are going to have a assisted split squat, but this time, rather than it being with a band, I'm going to use this short light bar. So this is for the cable machine. So there is no real weight to this bar. It's only about 1 kilo or so. So again, everything else is going to stay the same. I'm going to shoot with my left leg this time. So big stride forward, staying hip width apart. So we don't want to go tightrope. We want to be more train tracks rather than tightrope. Most of my weight being on this front leg. This is going to help me for balance. So it's not going to help me too much on the way up unless I push down. So it's going to help me a little bit, but it's going to help more for balance than anything else. So this is going to be really helpful if you're struggling for balance on a split squat, but still want to do that kind of single leg training, which actually has more benefit in real life than things like squats, because most movements that we do in the real world, if you like, we actually do as single leg movements. So this will help develop that balance until that then starts to become a little bit easier, and then we can move on to number three, which number three is the split squat. So without any assistance, without any equipment at all, just a body weight, big stride forward. Again, train tracks, everything else stays the same. Most of my weight being on that front leg, knee just behind my heel, coming back up from there. And showing you from the side, I'm going to show you with the other leg now. So big stride forward, thinking train tracks, not tightrope, most of my weight on this front leg. So if I stay quite upright, that's going to keep the focus on the front of my thigh. And if I hinge forward a little bit more, that's going to bring in my glutes and my hamstrings a little bit more and take a little bit of the focus away from my quads. So again, both are good. Neither is right or wrong. It will just change the focus. And the single most important thing is that it doesn't hurt when you're doing it. That's the most important thing when you're training, that you don't hurt yourself in the process. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Okay, so next we're going to move on to number 4, and we're going to do a front foot elevated split squat. So this is going to increase the range of movement slightly, and it might just place a little bit more demand on your balance. So we're going to have a low box, or you can use a weight plate if you haven't got access to a box. But we want it just a few centimeters off the ground, so not too high. And again, we're going to do everything else is staying the same. So big stride forward, thinking train tracks, not tightrope. Most of my weight is going to go on this front leg, and this is going to increase that range of movement just a little bit. And as usual, if I keep more upright, that's going to be more focus on the front of my thigh. And if I hinge forward a little bit more, that's going to bring my glutes into a little bit more. But I'm going to stay fairly upright on this one. Just sink down. It's going to increase that range of movement slightly. But again, still, most of my weight is going on that front leg. And give that a try if you haven't already. See how you get on. And let's move on to number 5. So then we're going to move on to number 5, which is going to be the split squat again, but this time we're going to add some weight. So we're going to make it more difficult. We're going to add dumbbells in our hands. So we're going to have our hands to your sides. I'm not going to go too mad with the weight, but everything else is going to stay the same. I'm going to try and keep my shoulders back and down. My core is more actively engaged for this one because I've got a weight in my hand. So I'm going to still do a big stride forward, thinking train tracks, not tightrope. I'm going to keep most of my weight on that front leg. I'm going to get nice and low, so that knee's just going to gently kiss the ground. And I'm going to keep my torso upright for this one. So this is going to be my front of my right leg doing most of the work there. I'm going to show you from the side with lefty. So big stride forward, most of my weight going on that front leg, and I'm going to hinge forward slightly on this one. So I'm going to bring a little bit more hips and hamstrings into this. And one more, keeping my core tight, my chest up, slight hinge forward. Okay. And that's number 5. So that's a split squat with dumbbells. Let's move on to number 6. Now, number 6 is going to be a goblet split squat. So I'm going to take one kettlebell. You could use a dumbbell. Dumbbell or kettlebell doesn't matter too much for this one. I'm going to clean the weight, and I'm going to hold it in that front rack position like I would with a goblet squat. I'm going to brace my core, keep my chest up. Again, big stride forward, keeping train tracks, not tightrope. Core braced. I'm going to keep my torso nice and upright, knee gently down to the ground, keeping that focus on that front leg, most of my weight being on that front leg. Core tight, knee gently just touching the ground, and then back. And I'm going to show you from the side. So core nice and tight, big strides forward, thinking train tracks. I'm going to stay upright on this one again. So this is the front of my left leg doing most of the work. Keeping my core braced, keeping control, keeping my balance, and push back up from there. Okay, and that's the goblet split squat. And that means we're moving on to number 7. So we're now going to take 2 kettlebells rather than 1, and we're going to do a front rack position with 2. So I'm going to give a go with the chimps, see how I get on. So this one does also work with dumbbells and can feel a little bit more comfortable on your wrists. We would just hold it in the same sort of way, but the kettlebells are going to rest on my forearm. So there's a little bit of discomfort on this one for that. So I'm going to brace my core as I deadlift the weight. I'm going to push my hips back and clean the weight into a front rack position. Make sure I'm as comfortable as I can be with a weight in my hand. So gym comfortable, not sat on the sofa with a cup of tea comfortable. I'm going to brace my core. I'm going to take a big stride forward. Everything else is staying the same. I'm going to keep most of my weight on that front leg, keeping my core tight, knee gently kissing the ground, and pushing back up. And one more. So core braced, control down, and back up. Okay, I'm going to show you from the side. Core braced, chest up, big stride forward, most of my weight going on that front leg, keeping my core braced, knee gently down to the ground, pushing back up, most of the work being done with that front left leg, keeping my core braced, and back up. Okay, and back down, core tight as we put that down. And that's number 7. Give that a try if you haven't before. Go fairly easy on the weights to start with, because that one can be really quite tough, especially keep your upper back. It has to work really hard. Your shoulders are working hard. That is a full body movement. That is really, really tiring. But give it a try. Remember, start off light if you haven't done it before. You can always increase the weight and do more next time or in the next set if it feels a little bit easy for you. Give that a try. Okay, so now we move on to number 8. So we're going to do a barbell split squat. So this one, as I'm sure you've guessed, if you haven't done it already, we're going to do a split squat, but this time with a barbell on our backs. Now, normally I would be facing the other way, but that way I don't have to reverse in at the end of my set. So it's easier to reverse out at the start of a set and to walk it back in. But I'm going to do it in reverse just so that you can hopefully see a bit clearer. So I'm going to get my upper back nice and tight, making sure that the barbell is resting on the meaty part of my kind of traps, my upper back, not the bony bit of my neck. We don't want to rest it on bone, we want to rest it on muscle. So I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together, get my upper back nice and tight, keep my core brace as I unrack that, and a little step forward. So keeping my core as braced as I can, I'm going to take a nice big stride forward. So thinking train tracks again. Most of my weight being on that front leg, getting my back knee just down to touch the ground gently and push back up. Most of the work being done with this front leg. And one more time, and again, if I hinge forward a little bit more, that's going to bring my hips and hamstrings into it a lot more. So when I'm done, again, I'm going to keep my core nice and tight, and I'm going to reverse that back in and pop that back down. And that's our barbell split squat. So again, that one just brings in your core a lot more than the bodyweight versions, and your upper back as well, having to stay upright. It feels really more like a full body movement, and it's a lot more tiring. You're going to engage a lot more muscle groups. So go fairly light to start with, and then build things up slowly from there. That moves us on to number 9, where we're going to do a Zercher split squat. So rather than load the bar on our back, we're going to hold the bar in our elbow crease. So again, if you're not used to this can feel a little bit uncomfortable. We don't want it to hurt or feel too uncomfortable. So if it doesn't work for you, maybe this exercise isn't for you yet, or maybe ever. But remember, it's gym comfortable, not sat on the sofa with a cup of tea, watching your favorite soap comfortable. So we're going to keep your core nice and tight. I'm going to get that in the elbow crease here. I'm going to squat down because I've set this bar really, really low, keeping my core nice and tight. And I'm going to stand up with that weight. Big stride forward, keeping my core tight the whole time. My upper back's got to work really hard as well. And again, I'm going to show you with lefty this time, actually. I'm going to do a big stride forward, thinking train tracks, not tightrope, as usual, keeping my core braced, my upper back nice and tight. I'm going to keep my torso nice and upright on this one. That back knee gently down just to kiss the ground and push back up with this front leg. One more time, core tight, upper back tight. Keeping my torso as upright as I can. Back knee gently down to the ground. Front leg doing most of the work to come back up. And again, I'm just going to reverse back into there. And I'm actually going to do a squat down to rack that Cool. And that's number 9. So if you haven't already, give that a try. Again, keep that nice and light. If you haven't done that before, maybe just try with just a bar weight to start with, see how you get on, and then you can always slowly progress it from there, because it does feel a little bit uncomfortable on the forearms, but if you can do that one, it can be a really beneficial exercise to do. It will help build your forearms, a bit of biceps as well. If you find it uncomfortable having a barbell on your back, this can be another good alternative. So give that a try, see how you get on. And then let's move on to number 10. So now we're coming to the business end of this list. We're coming to number 10, which you may or may not have done before. This is a rear foot elevated split squat, or some people know it as a Bulgarian split squat. Not quite sure why it's called that. But there are multiple ways to set up with this one. One way is to have a box about knee height, roughly. We're going to take a big stride forward, thinking train tracks, not tightrope. Most of my weight is going to go on this front leg. So the front leg is for power, the back leg is for balance. So that back leg is not doing too much. Most of my weight is on this front leg. I'm going to keep my torso nice and upright. And I'm trying to think of this more like a single leg squat rather than a split squat. So that back leg is doing as little as possible. This front leg is doing the business end, the power. This back leg is just helping for balance. And again, that back knee is just gently touching the ground and back up from there. So this one is known as being really, really tough, and it is pretty brutal. It will give you a pretty big stretch on the back leg, even though it's doing as little as you possibly can. It's just there for balance. The front leg is doing most of the work, but it can feel like quite a big stretch if you've got kind of tight hips. This one is really pretty easy to progress in that all those variations of weighted squats, so dumbbells to your sides, dumbbell or kettlebell front rack position, dual dumbbell or kettlebell front rack position, barbell on your back, you can add weight to this one and progress it as much as you want, depending on what you've got access to and how you can set things up and what you're training for and things like that. But this one is really, really easy just to keep progressing. You've got a whole bunch of weight to make it more difficult, if you're so inclined. But this one can be plenty difficult enough with just body weight. I would suggest to try to not compromise on range of movement for weight. So if you're starting to add weight, and let's say that with body weight, you're able to get your knee all the way down to the ground, this sort of position, gently touch the ground and back up. If we start then adding weight and you find that you're getting down to here and you're going, I'm not confident to go back down all the way, so you're reducing that range of movement in order to add a barbell on your back or dumbbells in your hand, it's probably your ego, meaning that you can't use a light enough weight to go all the way down. So dumbbells or kettlebells are pretty safe because really nothing bad is going to happen. I'm going to show you with these kettlebells. So if we have kettlebells in our hands to our sides, for example, we take a big stride forward. I'm going to show you with the righty, keeping my core tight, upper back tight, so shoulders back and down. Back leg's for balance, front leg is for power. I'm going to keep my torso as upright as I can. If I get to here and I go, no, it's not happening, weights go down and I can stand back up. Nothing bad is going to happen. If I've got a barbell on my back, that's a very different story, and it's a pretty difficult place to get out from. So kettlebells especially, but also dumbbells, are a pretty good starting point. Just one more time, so shoulders back and down. We can even start from the bottom end if you're not sure how to get into position with this one. So getting nice and low on that one. Front leg doing most of the power to come back up, and then see how you get on from there. So that is number 10 and how to progress it. That brings us to number 11. So that brings us to number 11 on our list, which is going to be a rear and front foot elevated split squat to try to increase the range of movement. Then, of course, if you are a complete psychopath, you can then start adding weights from there. But the main thing is we are going to increase the range of movement. So we're going to go exactly the same. So train tracks, big stride forward. That's a little bit too far for me actually, so I'm going to bring that back slightly. So big stride forward. So most of my weight is going on that front leg. Back leg is going to be more for balance. I'm going to keep my torso nice and upright. That for me is going to feel like a huge range of movement, and most of my weight is going to go on that front leg for power. But that's a pretty big range of movement for me. And again, we can start adding weight, dumbbells or kettlebells to your sides, front rack, dual front rack, even a barbell on your back. And that's going to feel like a really, really difficult, big range of movement for you to work on. Give that a try, see how you get on. And that leads us to number 12. And let's see how we get on with that one. You may not have tried this one before. So number 12 on the list is actually kind of a double one, because I'm going to show you how to progress this one a little bit as well. So this one's going to go back to a split squat, bodyweight split squat. So train tracks, big stride forward, most of my weight going on that front leg, but this time I'm actually going to jump up. So I'm going to power up and I'm going to jump up. You can jump up with both legs. And you can even make this pretty brutal, and we can progress this to the rear foot elevated split squat with a jump up. So core nice and tight, getting nice and low. Whoops, minding my balance. And that is going to really help for explosive power and improve vertical jump, and it should have a lot of crossover into any sport that you might be playing. Give those a try, see how you get on. Remember to start off nice and light. Do something that you can repeat consistently so it feels difficult but doable, and then progress from there. Remember to save this for your next workout, and please remember to like and subscribe.